friends, Katrina the Crafty Cataloger here for my January-February 2023 crafting update. If you are new to visiting my channel, I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you will see something here that you enjoy and that inspires you. And if you are a returning crafting friend, I appreciate you coming back time after time more than you will ever know. Flosstube YouTube is a weird thing, and it's funny how there are channels out there that have been out there for 2 weeks and have 500, 600, 1,000 subscribers, and then there are others that are out there that have 200. I try not to take it personally. It does feel a bit like junior high sometimes, and I think it's just truly the YouTube algorithm that some people just get seen more for whatever reason. So I like to think that I have some decent content. And I guess if people don't want to watch, people don't want to watch. It's okay. I enjoy those of you who stop by, and I appreciate those of you who stop by and take the time to make a comment. It means a lot. Anyway, I have decided that I would like to try to get on a more regular filming schedule. Do we call it filming anymore, since it's not really film? It's probably called a recording schedule anyway. I would like to record every other month at the end of the month. I am trying to get back to doing a 2-month rotation on my full coverage pieces. And I feel that doing an update video at the end of the 2 months to show the progress on that piece plus any other pieces that I worked on during that 2 months would work the best. If you're new to my channel, I not only cover cross stitch, and that's why I called you all crafting friends, because I cover cross stitch, knitting, paper crafting, quilting, and I am a librarian who enjoys reading, so I also share some of my favorite books near the end. I will also try to figure out how to add timestamps. I've never done that before, but maybe that would help for people who don't care about some of the other stuff or want to skip ahead to certain parts, whatever. We're going to start out today with my cross stitching. I am participating in Whip Go, Magical Stitches, and I participate in a challenge on the Michigan cross stitch group called Traveling the USA. So as I show my things, I will also show where, I will also talk about maybe what challenges they applied to. I also know that I'm notoriously bad about telling you what count fabric my stuff is on or what kind of threads I've used and things like that as I show them. So I am also trying to be better about just posting that stuff in the description box below. So if you have any questions about what count fabric a certain piece is on or what kind of threads I used, that information should be below. A word about Magical Stitches. I mentioned this last time, and I just want to mention it again. I am participating in a non-traditional way, and this way I have not run this by Vicki. I probably should say something to Vicki, but what I have done is I have made a spreadsheet on Google Sheets. It's not going to be very easy for you to see. But basically, my spreadsheet lists the challenge. It lists what project I'm applying to the challenge, how many stitches are required based on if my project matches the prompt or if I'm having to do alternative, what's the word I want? Alternative stitches, extra stitches because my project didn't really match. I have a column with a checkbox so I can say I met the goal. I have a column to show my beginning picture, my ending picture. Then I have a column saying how many stitches I got that month for that project out of how many I needed. And then I have a notes column. I like to participate in the groups. I like to feel like I'm part of the community like everybody else, but I don't like taking the picture every 200 stitches and posting, and Facebook drives me nuts like that. So this is what I came up with so that I can participate in my own way just for fun. So anyway, I have a different spreadsheet. My spreadsheet has multiple sheets, and I have a different sheet for every month. So I'm gonna look at this on my iPad as we go along so that I can share some of the details. So for the last 2 months, my full coverage focus piece has been Sunlight Sonata by Tilton Crafts. And I will put a picture of it right here where it was at the beginning of this year. And here is where it is now. I am quite pleased with the progress I got on this one, and I will remember to tell you the details on this one. This is 25 count, I believe. And so I'm doing it 1/1, which is a little hard on my eyes, which seem to get older by the day. And it actually amazes me when you look at this on camera, it looks so much more, the colors look so much more vivid than they do in real life. They're, like, especially over in here, these colors here are quite light in real life. But you can definitely see I have the frames of the doors coming in here. So this is a fun one to work on. I worked on this one, like I said, in January. In January, I got 2,873 stitches on this. In February, it got an additional 1,570. So someone who's really good at math can probably tell you what that adds up to, but I am not that person. I would need to take a minute or use a calculator. It was able to be used for 6 prompts in February, and I think 7 in January. It also was able to be used for my Michigan cross stitch goal in January, where I don't remember where we went in January. I'd have to look that up. In February, we went somewhere along in February too. And we're going somewhere far away in March, I think. I think we're going to Denver. Getting in the stitches, that's a good thing though. So anyway, that got some significant progress. My needle minder is stuck to the leg of my chair. Just hold, please. There we go. So that one will come out again in July. So I also worked on what's it called? Why can't I remember the name of this? Let me pull out the pattern. Give Thanks. Give Thanks by Teresa Kogut. Here is what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. And here is what it looks like now. You can see I worked my way up. I have a lot more done up in here. This one was able to do a couple of different this did 2 different prompts in January, and it got 598 stitches out of, I needed 500, so I overshot the goal. And then I had to go get more floss because I had run out. I think I may have said that in my last video. Actually, I may have had that goal met by my last video. And I knew I was running out of floss, so I had gone and gotten some. I worked on Miss Bingley's Library, picture of where this one was at the beginning of the year. And here's where it is now. And it's a very large house, but we're making progress. This one needed 500 stitches and I put in 1,058. I actually am not sure why I put in, maybe I needed it for another goal aside from magical stitches. It doesn't, my spreadsheet doesn't say that it was needed, but it must have been. And I don't remember, I may have shown this one at the same point last video, but I started the World of Warcraft. I'm calling it Orda, but I think it's Horde, Horde, but I think in the translation it came over on my computer as ORDA, so that's why I keep calling it Orda. And thanks to Kay from Kay's Cave of Possibilities for explaining to me what it was that I was stitching. I appreciate that, because my husband keeps telling me that I should try to play World of Warcraft. I would probably enjoy it, and I keep saying to him, I have enough hobbies, thank you. I don't need to do anything more. This one got 575 out of 500 stitches in January. My spreadsheet is being a pain. I want to switch to February, but I can't get the thing to come up. There we go. I did not work on this one in February. Then in February, the pieces that I worked on for my challenges, I worked on In Full Bloom. I did work on Mini Village Bookstore, which is the next full coverage piece in my rotation, just at the end of last month, and I'm not going to show that today. I'm going to wait and show that in 2 months. I worked on Pandemic, and I worked on Sunlight Sonata, which you've already seen. So the two left that I need to show you are Pandemic, which got 1,234 stitches. I needed 600 I needed 600 for magical stitches, but I needed 1,000 for WIPGO. So picture of where this was at the beginning of 2023, and here is where it is now. So I know I finished up in here, and I got more of these done, and I was working my way down. So progress on this one. This is a long ways from being done, and this is one of those that I basically just, I just enjoy working on it. It's great to take places, because basically this is it. You need the burgundy floss and a pair of scissors, and basically that's it. I also worked on In Full Bloom. This one got 541 out of 400 stitches needed. Picture of where it started out, and here we are now. I finished the first O, started the second O, and I finished up some bits over in here. I think I did these two flowers. And I know I did this curly Q. Some bits over here that were missing. This one popped up for next month. This one will be, this one needs 600 stitches for magical stitches, and it also is counting for WIPGO. I think it was what was called in WIPGO. So it's going to get some more love. This is one that I would actually like to see finished up this year, if at all possible. So even though I have a focus piece for 2 months, I still managed to touch several other pieces throughout the 2 months. I'd really like to get my smaller pieces down. I'd like to whip down. I have too many. I would just like to finish a few things, but it will happen when it happens. This next month, in terms of plans, I will be working on, I know for March I will be working on Mini Village Bookstore spring rolls, which you've seen in the past. In in full bloom, and I'm going to have 2 new starts. I'm going to start, this is the day, I'll try to remember to put the cover photo of this one up. It's been quite popular on Flosstube lately. A lot of people have been starting that. I think that was maybe a market release from last year, but that popped up on my WhipGo board this month, so I plugged it into a couple of these magical stitches challenges. I try to double count wherever I can. So I will be starting that one, and I am going to start the piece that I'm going to do for my son and his fiance, because the wedding is like 4 months away. So I would like to get that one done. I would just feel better if I had it done and framed by May and had it off my plate. And I really don't think it will take that long. It's not a very big piece. So, that's my plan. Those are my plans for March, and you'll have to wait until the end of April to see what I worked on in April, aside from Mini Village Bookstore. Purchases, I did go to the closest thing I have to a local needle workshop, which is almost an hour and a half drive away, probably an hour and 15 minutes. They were having a Super Bowl sale party thing. They do this every year. They do 2 different events, one Super Bowl weekend and one after Nashville. I don't anticipate going over there again after they're back from Nashville, but I did go over because I knew I needed the floss for gift thanks, and that is Weeks Dye Works, I believe. So it wasn't something I could pick up at a big box store. I went over to get that, and of course proceeded to spend a lot more money. And I intended to bring the 2 things that I bought to show you, and I didn't. They're in the other room. One, I will put a picture of the pattern that I bought. It's an autumn themed pattern that I thought looked very fun to do, and I bought that, and then I bought the fabric. So I'll put a picture of that up here. And one thing that I failed to mention last time, I wanted to give a shout out to Jenny from, she used to have a channel called Long Dog Stitcher, but she's taken her videos down, and we all love you, Jenny. We miss you, but we understand why you did it. I had sent her a Christmas card, and she sent me a Christmas/New Year's card back, and she sent me a thing of fancy floss in it. And I just wanted to say thank you publicly for it, because it was super cute, because the name of it was called Creeping Jenny, which I thought was funny. So anyway, that wraps up cross stitch, and next we'll move on to knitting. So in knitting, I actually finally have finished something. I finished the long line cardigan this last month, and this last weekend I took some time and I blocked it. It turned out pretty well. There are a lot of mistakes in it, but even though I know they're there, I would have a hard time finding them to point them out to you. I think I did a good enough job at hiding them or fixing them. I do wish that it was bigger, about half a size bigger, or that I was a size or 2 smaller, but I can wear it, and I did wear it to work one day this week, and I will wear it occasionally. It's not going to be my favorite sweater by any means, but considering that it was my first attempt at a sweater, and quite honestly probably my last, I'm pleased with how it turned out overall. So you'll remember that the yarn was a purple, a variegated purple. The colorway name was Violin. I think I can step back far enough that you'll be able to see all of it. Hopefully. So I'm so far from the camera now I can't see how much is showing. So hopefully you're seeing it all. And there's the back. So I'm still kind of bummed about the fact that there's such a wide range of colors, chunks in the back, but it's fine. It's fine. It's a hand knit sweater. I made it myself. I can be proud of that. And I'm very happy that it's done, because I was kind of getting tired of working on it, to be honest. In my last video, I had shown you my latest start, and I had mentioned that I had started it before Christmas so that I would be able to work on it in the car while we traveled. And it's the catkin shawl, which I will put a picture of it right here. There are a couple of different ways shown on the pattern to wear it, and the way it's shown in this picture is probably not the way I will wear it. One of the other pictures shows it more like a cowl, and that's how I anticipate wearing it. Anyway, I had started it, and I know that in my last video I had shown you my progress, which wasn't a great deal of progress, but I had a decent start on it. And then one of the things I used some of my Christmas money on was a new set of knitting needles. And I don't believe I showed these last time. But I bought myself this set of knit picks. They're interchangeable, and they're the majestic wood ones. So they're purple and green. They're very pretty. I had one set previously that I had purchased, I think for my Rickroll wrap, I think was the one, because I had one set and a very long cable, and I remembered that they were very nice to knit with. Most of my collection of knitting needles to this point have been the Clover brand fixed circulars that you can buy at Joann's. And there's nothing wrong with those. I actually like them for the most part, but I did remember that these knit picks ones were very nice. So one of the things I spent some of my Christmas money on was a set of interchangeables. And I decided that I was going to go ahead and move this new shawl to one of my new sets of needles. And I think when I did that, somehow I managed to drop a stitch or something, because all of a sudden I had a problem. I was off count where I hadn't been off count before. So I ended up ripping it out and starting over. But I'm pleased to say that, oops, I'm attached to thread over here, yarn. I have made, I have gotten past where I was, and I feel I've made a nice, gotten a good amount done. I'm getting, so the rounds are actually quite long, and so it takes me a bit to get across. And this red is, the red that you're seeing in there, if you're seeing that, is a lifeline. So anyway, I'm pleased with how this is looking, and I really do like working on these needles. And I try to do a row or two every day, but it doesn't always happen because unfortunately there are only 24 hours in a day. And you know, unfortunately I have to do things like go to work and do laundry and things like that. But anyway, I'm pleased with how that is coming along, and I feel like I'm making steady progress. Then about a month and a half ago or so, I was watching Tina over at Simply in Stitches, and I will link her channel below. Tina does do cross stitch, although right now she's kind of not in the cross stitch mood, so she is focusing on her knitting right now. And she showed this animal that she had made, and she showed what book it came out of. And it was this book, Knitted Animal Friends by Louise Crowther. I hope I said that right. Tina made the fox, which she has named Vixen, and time has passed now, and Tina has also made Vixen a little dress and a couple of other things. And I just thought Vixen was so cute, but I actually fell in love with this dog. The dog's name is George in the book. So here's a close-up of George. Try to get the glare off that if I can. I think George is just the sweetest little dog. And so I actually looked this up, and my library didn't own it, but one of our partner libraries owned it. So I put it on interlibrary loan, and I checked it out because I wanted to see if I thought it was something I could handle. And I kind of read through some of the patterns, and I thought, I think this is something I can do. So I went ahead and I purchased a copy. I did get this from Amazon. And then I ordered the actual yarn that the pattern calls for from a shop on Etsy, which I will try to remember to link below. It called for this, I think it's Sheepjes, Scheepjes, stone washed. This is the gray. And I just really wanted him to look exactly like he looks in the picture. For the clothing, I'm not going to be so worried about matching, but I wanted the dog itself. The gray is called Black Onyx, color 803. I just really like that. And then the off-white is called Moonstone, and it's color 801. Just a cream. And I am pleased to say that basically you knit the animals in pieces, and then you sew the pieces together and stuff them. So I know this doesn't look like much, but this is George's head. There's a patch on the side of his head. This will be his nose. So I obviously still, this is the back side, the inside. And I still have all these hanging threads because I need them to sew things up, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. I'm just going to sew my pieces, and I'm going to take my time and try to do this right. This, I've learned a new skill with this. I've learned how to do intarsia, which turned out to not be very hard, and it kind of sounded intimidating, but once I got going, I was like, oh, this isn't hard. So anyway, I have his head done, and I am working on, I have to make him 2 ears, and so I'm working on an ear right now. This is the first ear, and it wants to roll up because there are decreases in there and whatnot. So anyway, I was a little frustrated because, I just bought this brand new set of needles, and then I think one of these needles is the size I need to make George. So I ended up buying this set, which is my first. I ended up ordering like 4 more sets of needles. I was like, I just bought a whole set. Why do I not have what I need? Hopefully I'm all set now and I never have to buy needles again. So I made sure to go through and buy all the needles I will need to make the animals. And this set that the ear is on is ChiaoGoo, oops, I'm dropping things, ChiaoGoo Red Lace 16-inch. It's a 2.75 millimeter. I have a complaint. I wish the knitting world would make up their mind and they would just make sizes. Even if they'd go with the millimeters, I don't care. I gotta pick this up. I don't care. I realize that in America we don't use millimeters because we're stubborn, but we can if we have to. So I wish they would just put 2.75 millimeter instead of this US 2, or no, what does it say? Yes, US 2, 2.75. US 4, 3. It confuses my brain when I'm shopping. I keep having to read things over and over and over again to be sure that I'm buying the right thing. Anyway, so I bought those, and then I needed a couple of sets of double points, and of course the double points I had, none of them were the right size. And so I got the two sets of double points that I need, and then I also needed I don't know what size this one is, because I can't read that, it's too small. Oh, a 9-inch 2.5 I also needed. So I made sure that I bought all the needles that I would need to make the animals, because one thing I really like about this book is that all the animals, like, I'll just show this much, standard body parts. And so there's one pattern that you use for all the bodies, and you just vary it. There's a contrast one, so you can see there's a plain body, contrast one, and one with a chest blaze, and then there's one with the spot on the side. And so you make the same you use the same body pattern for all the animals. And like, here's a bigger picture of some of the animals. All the clothing is designed so that it interchanges. You can put any piece of clothing on any one of the animals. The clothing is supposedly designed so that it will fit around all the various tails and whatnot. And I think the arms might be the same too for all the animals. Anyway, I just really thought that was great how it's all designed so that it's all mix and match. So, I mean, I'm hoping that I'm still 5 years or so away from being a grandmother, but in my head I'm thinking, if this goes well, I might make a whole toy box full of these, because wouldn't that be fun to have these little animals at grandma's house for some kid to come play with. Anyway, I'm enjoying working on those because they're just something fun. And so that's my new project that I'm kind of excited about. For my fellow knitting friends, I'm curious. I do have the Knit Companion app on my iPad, and I actually have paid, but I find that I don't use it. I actually find it almost more confusing for me than just using good old-fashioned paper. Especially, I know there are built-in counters and things. I just find it, I don't know why. Am I the only one that finds that confusing? I'm actually considering not paying for it again and just sticking with the paper, because I think that maybe that's just the way, maybe it's just the way my brain works, and that's okay. Or maybe I just haven't really figured out how to use it correctly. But anyway, I was super excited about that new project, and I wanted to be able to share that with you today. Next up, we will talk about cards. Okay, so by the magic of television, you've seen the knitting section, and I just said we were going to talk about cards, and you can see that I'm wearing a different shirt, and then I was wearing a different shirt in the other one. So I got smart today, and I actually filmed the knitting section first, and then I went and changed because I just didn't really want to wear that today. In my last video, I mentioned that I made 2 whip go boards this year. I made a cross stitch whip go board, and I made a paper crafting whip go board. And my sister-in-law is also playing along with me on the paper crafting one. I just send her the numbers every month. So I believe that I had shown my cards that I made in January. In January, I had to make whimsical paper strip cards, 4 of them, and I had to make 4 triple accordion full cards, and I am 99.9% sure that I showed those in my last video. For February, block 7 was to make 10 Christmas cards, which I literally did on Thursday. No, not Thursday. Tuesday. Monday night and Tuesday. I got it in at the last minute. I made 9. Just dropped one of them. But I made 9 that look like this. There is so the top half is this tree pattern, and then there's a chunk in the middle, and there's a stamp just says Happy Holidays. I did not, that one I traced the holidays. I did not trace the word holidays on all of them. So I kind of didn't like that, how it turned out. Some brads here, and then different green paper at the bottom. The back side is just plain, but I do have my stamp that says that it was handmade by me. And then the insides, I just put some white paper and I put Christmas sentiment in there. I made 9 of those. I would have made 10, but I seem to not have any more of this tree paper, so my 10th card is slightly different. Same stamp. I used the same stamp, but I just threw some different paper together. And again, oops. Somebody's going to get a laugh out of that when they open it at Christmas, because I put the sentiment sideways because I wasn't paying attention. And I'm not going to fix it. It's okay. So I have 10 Christmas cards made. Happy about that. My other square was to make 4 masculine birthday cards. I did make 4, but I only have 3 left because I gave 1 away. This is what I came up with. Relatively simple. Just made this look like a little banner. This is a patterned paper in the back. And again, sentiment inside on white paper. I do have a white stamp pad that sometimes I will just stamp directly on the dark. I'm sorry. I got interrupted. My son called and I had to take that call because I needed to talk to him. I don't know where I left off, and I don't know where I'm going to have to cut this, so I'm going to kind of start over and hope that I have some wiggle room for editing. I saw this poem on one of the papercrafting groups that I follow on Facebook, and I really liked it. It says, "I didn't sign this card before I sent it off to you, but it holds my warmest thoughts, invisible but true. And if you find a time you need to brighten someone's day, then take this card and sign it and send it on its way." And so what I did was I went to Shutterfly and I put that poem, and the poem had no name, like who came up with it. I think there are several versions out there. But I put it on Post-it notes, a pad of Post-it notes. And so my thought is that sometimes there are some people that I send cards to I really don't need to sign. I don't need to write anything in the card, maybe just sign my name. And there's plenty of room on this Post-it note actually for me to sign my name. And then people can send it on again if they want. So maybe the card gets more than one use, which, you know, is nice because you put a lot of work into them and you don't really want to just have them go to one person and then in the trash. So, he really threw me off with that phone call. It's okay. Next month, for the month of March, in Papercrafting, block 2 tells me that I need to spend 1 hour finishing up started cards. This is a real problem for Crafter Katrina because when I first started papercrafting, the girl who kind of was teaching me, I guess you'd say, she said, if you are going to make 1 card, make 2, because you take a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, you cut it in half, and then you fold each of those halves in half, and you have 2 card bases. So I get what she's saying. It makes sense. If you're going to make 1, make 2. But sometimes I go overboard and I go, well, if I'm making 2, I might as well make 10. And then I get 3/4 of the way through the process and I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I don't want to make them anymore. And so I have bits and pieces everywhere. And so I have this on my board 2 or 3 times to spend a specific amount of time just finishing up cards that are already started or putting together pieces and parts and using things up. And my square 22 is to make 4 paper quilting with squares cards, which is a layout that Robin from Really Robin Stamps showed on one of her videos. So that's what I will be doing in paper crafting. And I think the last crafty thing I have to share today is some quilting. So I didn't actually think I was going to have this to share with you today because I was intending to drop it off at the Long Armors yesterday, and then when I looked, they weren't open. They were open, but they would have been closed before I would have been able to get there. So I honestly don't know when this is going to make it to the Long Armors. Maybe today. We will see. And I think I'm going to have to, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to do this gently. I'm going to have to move the camera back a few feet in order to have space to hold this up. I finally finished this quilt top. Let me move my chair. Maybe I can give myself some more space. I can't see what you can see. So it's basically just 4 panels. Each one has a music related quote on it. And these colors, the burgundy and the gray, are both fabrics that I stole from my mom's. Well, I didn't steal them. She gave them willingly. From my mom's stash. They were left over from the quilt that my mom made, my husband and I, that is on our bed. And then I used this music themed fabric just as the sashing and in between and along the sides. And this is also going to be the back, and then the burgundy is going to be the binding. So this measures 42 by 42, so you know it's going to be 40 by 40-ish wall hanging, and it will hang over the fake fireplace in our bedroom. This project took me way too long to do. I mean, honestly, most quilters could probably knock this out in a weekend, and it took me forever, but that's okay. So that's what I've been working on in quilting, and I do have a project that I'm going to start. Would have loved to start this weekend, but I don't think that's going to happen because I have other things that keep popping up that I'm going to need to do. But I do have another one lined up that I want to get started. And I also have one other project on my sewing desk that I need to tackle, and I just want to show you this because I find it amusing. This, I believe, is a bass drum mallet. This is the kind of thing that a band director's wife deals with. My husband brought this home and said, I need you to fix this. I don't know how he expects me to fix it. I really don't. It's been sitting here for months. I really need to get it done. I'm surprised he hasn't nagged me about it because I'm thinking that they probably need it at school. But I don't think there's enough of this left to fix. I think I'm going to have to figure out what it's batting of some kind, but I don't know. I think I'm going to just have to make a new piece. But sometimes he brings things home and he asks me to fix things, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. If I get it fixed, I'll report back. Anyway, that wraps up the crafty stuff. If you'd like to hear about what I've been reading, stick around. Okay, Goodreads tells me that I'm like 7 books ahead of schedule. I'm loving that. I am just going to list off 4 books that I have really enjoyed over the last couple of months, and I will put cover art up. and then we'll wrap this up. So I read a book called A View Most Glorious by Regina Scott. This was a 5-star. This was the third book in a series. If you like Christian historical fiction and you like things set out west, all 3 of these books took place in national parks out west, like the Grand Canyon. And I think they were all roughly 1800s. Excellent. I listened to all 3 of them on audio, and I had listened to the other 2 last year and was waiting for the third one to come out on audio, and it finally came out. It was excellent. All 3 of them were excellent. I read an advanced reader's copy of The Maid of Ballymacool by Jennifer Dybel. This is the 3rd book that she's written, and all of her books are set in Ireland, and they're all Christian historical fiction. They've all been very good. I gave that one 4 stars. I did read Round Robin, which is the 2nd book in the Elm Creek Quilts series. I actually listened to it. This is the 2nd time through for me. I think I am enjoying these more the 2nd time through than I did the 1st time through, and I enjoyed them a lot the 1st time through. But I enjoyed that, and I've already started the 3rd book in the series. I'm probably 25% through just from listening yesterday and today. I also just listened to Mrs. Lincoln's Sisters, which is also by Jennifer. I am not sure if it's Chiavarini or Chiavarini. I'd really like to know how to pronounce her name. I gave that one 4 stars. I learned a lot about President Lincoln's wife that I never knew. I mean, she was like one of a bunch of kids. Her dad was married and had 7 kids, and then got married again and had, I don't know, another 7 or something. I don't know. But anyway, she was an interesting character. So that was a very good book. I also gave that one 4 stars. I am keeping up with the reading challenges through the Magical Stitches group, and just basically trying to plug everything that I read in somewhere. And so far I've been pretty successful with that. I am pleased that I'm so far ahead on my annual reading goal of reading 70 books, because there are too many books and too little time. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Frank Zappa. You summed it up well. I am still walking. In fact, I was up this morning and walked at like 5:45 this morning so that I could try to get everything in that I needed to get in today. It seems that Friday, which is supposed to be my day to do what I want to do, that's not what it's for. It's for everybody to tell me that they need me to do this, that, and the next thing for them. So now my day is pretty much shot doing other stuff, but that's okay. I guess I'm glad to be needed, and I'm hoping that the fact that I have all these things that I need to do doesn't mean that you don't see this video for a week, because at this point, I'm not sure when it's going to get edited. Hopefully today or tomorrow, and you will see it soon. But that's all for me today. I hope that you are all well. I do intend to be back at the end of April, and hopefully we'll have lots of fun crafty stuff to show you. Please leave me a comment below, like and subscribe. I think I'm supposed to say that and I never do. But happy crafting, everybody. See ya.